ever since becoming an adult, I felt pretty lost with my life because I didn't know which direction to take my career. There was no one telling me what to do anymore, and it didn't seem like the conventional path I was taking felt right. Then I came across a podcast by Naval Ravikant. To keep the video short, here are 6 ideas that I got from his content that resonated with me the most and which I now think about very often and use to kind of guide my life a little bit. Seek wealth, not money or status. Wealth is the thing that you want. Wealth is assets that earn while you sleep. The reason you want wealth is because it buys you your freedom, so you don't have to waste away your life grinding away your productive hours into a job that doesn't necessarily fulfill you. This idea sounds simple, but I think when you get it, it's life-changing. So I think I have been optimizing for the wrong things in my life, and this is why everything I do kind of feels just a little bit off. Let me give you an example. When I was a child, I was really creative and I think I loved art. So instead of listening to my instinct and, studying fine art or graphic design or something, I optimized for a career that seemingly had a higher status in society, which is architecture. And ever since I was a child, I studied really, really hard, but I never really questioned myself why I was learning. I think a lot of my intrinsic motivation came from wanting to seem like a smart and capable and educated person, but I never really questioned whether the knowledge I was pursuing and spending so much of my time memorizing was actually interesting to me and whether it was really fulfilling my intellectual soul. And after I graduated, I realized that I wanted a job because I wanted to have money. So I spent all my time and energy basically chasing after money and status, and I don't think it really made me really happy. And I felt like with every moment that I was spending doing something that did not seem fun for me, it felt like a moment that I was wasting. This epiphany made me realize what will ultimately give me fulfillment and inner peace can only be brought by wealth. Having some wealth will let me live my life on my own schedule and terms, so I can follow my curiosity and do things that has no status but brings me joy. And having this freedom will let me get to the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Stop selling your time. You're not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own equity, a piece of a business to gain your financial freedom. You just can't earn non-linearly when you're renting out your time. People seem to think that you can create wealth and make money through work, and it's probably not going to work. Your inputs are closely tied to your outputs. And in any salaried job, even at one that's paying a lot, you're still putting in the hours, and every hour you get paid. So it means when you're sleeping, you're not earning. When you're retired, you're not earning. When you're on vacation, you're not earning. Renting out your time means you're essentially replaceable because now you're doing a set role, and most set roles can be taught. If they can be taught like in the school, then eventually you're going to be competing with someone who's got more recent knowledge, who's been taught and coming in to replace you. Well, damn, I have been living my professional life all wrong. Here's why. I thought I had to go to school, get a good degree, show I have skills, get a nice job, and then I'd be all set. But it never occurred to me that having a job is not the jackpot. By only aspiring to have a job, I was limiting my earning potential by only getting paid for the one asset that I cannot replace, my time. And if at any point I decide to stop working for a while, I cannot make any money anymore. So at this rate, I'm going to be working until I'm dead and also relying on not being replaced. Seems pretty risky to me. And second thing is that my chosen profession is in providing services to people. More specifically, architecture design services. So this means in my industry, I can only charge my services by selling my time. And this is not scalable. So this made me realize that I need to find a way to cut the relationship between my time and my output. And this brings me to idea number 3. You will get rich by giving society what it wants, but does not yet know how to get at scale. So it's at this point I realized that I basically need to productize myself, figure out what kind of skill and knowledge I have that other people would find interesting, and I need to be able to distribute it. It's really important to figure out how to break the relationship between providing value and time. This brings us to idea number 4. Get comfortable promoting yourself. You have to learn to sell, you have to learn to build, and if you can do both, you will be unstoppable. So the idea is, if you can help someone out, it's very likely that they will give you money for this. However, if no one knows that you are able to do this thing for them, who would pay you? You have to get very comfortable promoting yourself. I think this really goes against the cultural norm in parts of Europe and in the UK from where I'm from. It's kind of frowned upon and odd if you are actively saying how good you are at certain things. Like, no. You stay quiet and just work quietly in the corner, and eventually people will realize what you can do and come to you. But now I realize this is not the most efficient way to work in this day and age. Especially in the beginning when you're quite young, you have to be comfortable promoting the things that you're good at, because if you don't, who will? There's no point being awesome at something if no one knows about it. Because if no one knows about it, no one is going to ask you to use your awesomeness to help them. And if you can't help other people, how are you going to get paid? And this is actually now one of the reasons why I'm trying to make more YouTube videos and having a Twitter account, and generally try to be a little bit more active online, because I think it's the fastest and easiest way to distribute the information that you have in your head. And with that being said, here are all the things I think I'm awesome at. Now let's talk about idea number 5. We live in an age of cheap, permissionless leverage. So Naval says that fortune requires leverage. Business leverage comes from capital, people and products with no marginal cost of replication. Code and media are permissionless leverage. They are the leverage behind the newly rich. You can create software and media that works for you while you sleep. So I think it just means that nowadays, if you want to go ahead and make something, it's never been easier. So in the past, if you wanted to, say, open a shop, you had to have money to rent a piece of land, build an actual physical shop, find people to work in that shop, have enough money to develop the products and to manufacture it and stock it. But now, if I want to make something myself and open a shop, I can make a prototype quite easily. I can contact manufacturers in China or in India or in Bangladesh just through the magical use of the internet, get a couple of prototypes and just set up a shop online using, say, Shopify or Etsy. I no longer need to invest the money into actually renting a physical store and building it, and I don't need to have a lot of money to hire people, and I don't need to have a lot of money for marketing, because everything can be done online and this costs very little. So the barrier to entry is very, very low right now if you have any kind of creative project that you want to try out. And also, if for any reason I would want to write a book, I no longer have to, find a publisher, find an editor, ask for permission for them to sign me. No, I can do it just by starting a blog online, self-publish it as an ebook on Amazon or on my own website or on Gumroad. The point is, if you have like a business idea or a creative project you want to try out, you no longer need other people's permission, because the investment is not so high anymore. You can really just use the tools available online at your disposal for free or for a very limited amount of money and try it out. You don't have to ask people anymore. You can just do it. Like, I didn't have to ask anyone if I'm allowed to start making videos and putting them on YouTube. I didn't have to ask anyone if I can sell some stuff online on Etsy. I just had an idea and I'm doing it. Sometimes I think I have too many ideas, and maybe I should get other people's opinion and just filter the ideas for them, get some loved ones to just check that everything is sound before I invest so much of my time into it. But on the other hand, it's also really fun. Like, if you have inspiration for something, it doesn't feel good to go and ask for permission from all sorts of people. You don't want that sort of friction. You just want to go ahead and do it. What's the saying? Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Now let's talk about the last idea. So in my own words, I would say it is follow your curiosity. But in the words of Naval, he says, arm yourself with specific knowledge, accountability and leverage. Specific knowledge is knowledge that you cannot be trained for. If society can train you, it can train someone else and replace you. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion rather than whatever is hot right now. And building specific knowledge will feel like play to you but will look like work to others. So the way I interpret it is that if you don't have specific knowledge, it means that other people can also be trained for it, and eventually what you're doing will be replaced by someone who's better, or by someone who's cheaper, or by a robot, because now what you can do can be completely automated. So to get specific knowledge, it means to become someone with a skill that's so good that they can't replace you. But then the really important question is, how do you find what your specific knowledge is? You just have to try a lot of different things. You have to follow your curiosity, because if you are curious about something, you probably like that thing, and therefore it's very natural for you to kind of spend a lot of time honing that skill and getting really good at it. And if you can spend a lot of time doing it because it's fun, then there's a very high likelihood that you will just get better at it than other people. So at the moment, I'm really trying to cultivate my specific knowledge by trying out a lot of different projects, which maybe 10 years ago I would have dismissed out of hand because it's not part of my professional career path, like making YouTube videos. But now I realize that if it's something that I enjoy doing and I can see myself getting better at it, why not just continue and see what happens? You never know what kind of opportunities or what kind of projects will arise from, you know, doing all these hobbies. And I think this is why it's really important for everyone to have hobbies outside of work. We should all be cultivating this curiosity within us by expressing ourselves through creating. If you can create something, then you can contribute something to the world and also learn something about yourself, like your innate curiosity and your likes through the process. And I think further down the line, we'd all be better off for it. So this just about summarizes the 6 main ideas I've gotten from Naval. I would just recommend that instead of listening to me blabbing on, you just all go watch his interviews on Joe Rogan, his podcast that he puts out, and follow him on Twitter. Oh, and there's also quite a good book that someone has compiled with all the content that he put out, called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Thanks for watching, and see you next week in my next video.